for measuring overall economic performance of the country. So GDP is basically measures the amounts or the quantity of outputs which is produced within the nations. So we have thousands or probably millions of outputs or products or services that we produce per year, for example. So what we need to do is to compute, to compare the market value of all goods, right, which is produced domestically. Okay? Domestically means in our in our borders, right? So during certain period of times, normally GDP is computed on annual basis. Right? If we compute GDP for annual basis, then we need to calculate all goods which is produced within Malaysia from 1st January until 31st January. Sorry, 31st December. 365 days. So anything which is produced will be included in this in GDP. Right. So that gonna tell us the level of economic activities in Malaysia. If GDP is increasing, that indicates that key economy is doing okay. But if the value of GDP is declining is compared to last year, so that indicates that something is not right with our economic performance because output produce, right? Naturally, output will increase over years, over times, right? Because we're gonna have more people, we're gonna have more other inputs in the economy, right? So with more people in the economy, demands will be more. Right? If output is declining, so that indicates something is not right. Right? So we expect that the GDP is going to increase over time. So the amount of output that we produce in the countries. So we need to total up everything. Right? Output produced by CIMB, by all banks, nations, by all firms, by manufacturing companies, by oil and gas companies, everything in the economy has to be computed and included in GDP. So let us take a look at some of the important keywords for GDP. So first we have this market value. What is market value? Market value is what we include in GDP is the goods which is traded in the market that has market value. Some of the goods in the economy they don't have markets, they are not traded in the market, so they don't have market value. So those type of goods will not be included in GDP. Right. So the main advantage of using market value, right, we can easily combine all goods in the economy. Right? If you have orange, for example, and then you translate the value of orange into dollar value, and then you produce apple, you produce car, what else, smartphones, and etc. So everything you translate into market value, into dollar value, and then at the end of the process, you can easily sum up or total up all the values that you have. Right? So this is the big advantage of using market value. Okay? If we don't have market value, right, so the computations of outputs that we produce within a year is going to be tedious. It's going to be very complicated. Okay? How do we express? Okay? If you, let's say you produce 10,000 units of car, right? 20,000 units of motorcycle, right? 10,000 units of smartphones, right, and etc. Give thousands of goods and services in the economy, right? With the market value, the process is going to be tough, right? So with market value, right, everything. I mean, at the end of the process, you only have one number, which is market value, which is the value of all goods, which is expressed in terms of dollar value, right? Just one number at the end, right? Instead of thousands of different values for each goods that we produce in the economy. So this is the most important elements of using market values. But when we use market value, there'll be problems because some of the goods, some of the economic activities that we have doesn't has market value. Right? A good example of this is let's say in my case, for example, my wife is a full-time housewife, right? she'll not get paid for the things that she does. For example, she does cooking, cleanings, right, sending kids to school, right, picking up kids from school, right, buy groceries. There is no market value for that. Right? Although the activities is productive, it is legal, right? It is productive. Since there is no market value, so the values, right, contributed by housewife will not be part of GDP. Right, so things is gonna be different. If you hire maids, for example, if you have maids and maids do all those things, right? So she cooks, she clean the house, right? She clean the clothes, everything. Because maid is paid. Let's say you pay 1,500 ringgit per month. So there is value for work done by domestic maids. So 1,500 ringgit will be included. The value of services provided by maids will be included in GDP because it has market value. But if you love gardening, for example, right, your parents, for example, after they came back, from office, they do some simple gardening, cutting trees, trimming grass, for example. There is no market value for that. Right? Although the activities is productive, since there is no market value, it won't be counted in GDP. But if your dad, for example, hire others to do all those things, and he pay them, then there is market value for that, and the value will be included in GDP. Right. So that is the advantage and disadvantages of using market value. Second is final goods and services. There are many different kind of goods that we produce in the economy. Some of the goods are final. Final means the goods will be purchased by final consumers. You buy it and then you enjoy that. That is final goods. Some of the goods they are unfinished goods. Right? Let's say the sawmill, for example, they buy the log, right? The log, and then they cut the logs into pieces of wood, and they sell pieces of wood. So pieces of wood is not the final goods. You're not gonna buy that pieces of wood to enjoy it, because pieces of wood will be sold to other firms to produce, for example, furniture. Right? So furniture is a final goods because you're gonna buy furniture. Right? You're gonna buy bags, for example, or you're gonna buy wardrobes, for example. That gonna give values to you. That furnitures, wardrobes, which is made up of pieces of wood, are example of final goods. Right? So pieces of wood produced by the sawmills will not be included in GDP because they are not final goods. So only final goods will be included in GDP. Right? If we include the value of wood, for example, pieces of wood, and then again you include the value of bed, furniture, right? Then there'll be double count, double counting, because the value of furniture that you buy, right, includes the value of wood, which is purchased by furniture manufacturers, right? 2,000 or 3,000 for the sofa, for example, that you buy, includes in that value includes the value of wood that they use as an input. So if you include both value of wood and value of sofa, then there'll be double counting because the value of wood is included in the value of sofa. Right? So remember this, only final goods are included. So then produce, because the keywords here is gross domestic products. Right? Domestic products. Domestic means it has to be, products means productions. Right? So this is not when they were sold, right? But this is when they were produced, because the keywords is products. and it has to be produced locally, right? Produced within the country. So for nation GDP, right? So to be included in nation GDP, it has to be produced within nation border, right? Regardless of who produce it. Remember, anything which is produced within nations will be part of nation GDP. Because in Malaysia, we also have foreign companies. If you go to Bangi, then you're gonna see some of the foreign firms in Bangi. We have, for example, Sony in Bangi, what else? Aeon in Bangi, Toshiba in Bangi. They are foreign companies. They are not Malaysian companies. But since they are here and they produce output here, so their output will be included in nation GDP. Right? Because the keywords it has to be produced within a country. Right? So are you okay?
Okay.
Okay, Doktor.
Oh, sedih semua. Tidur.
Okay, Doktor.
Bila stres saya ni cakap seorang-seorang ni.
Mungkin
Harap?
tak dapat kelas face to face.
Itulah next week. Because there are some requests, okay? Because they want to enjoy Christmas or end of year celebrations. So next week we're gonna go face to face. All right, so it has to be produced within the country. Okay, so when it comes to this, for foreign firms, right, if they produce within Malaysia, their outputs will be part of nation GDP. But only the ones which is, because we know that multinational corporations they have they have office in multiple countries, not only in Malaysia. Sony, for example, they have production units in many different countries, but only the ones which is produced by Sony in Malaysia will be part of nation GDP, right? So the one produced in Japan is part of Japan GDP, is not nation GDP, right? Only the ones which is produced within Malaysia, right? Right. So the keywords is production. You have to remember. Uh, and then the last words. I'm going to relate this to production. But in a given time period, GDP normally is computed for every year, on annual basis, right? For the whole year, how much output is produced within the year, right? So and also on top of annual GDP, we also have quarterly GDP, right? Which is GDP produced within 3 months: January, February, March, April, May, June, and so on. Right? So we have these two types of GDP frequency. I mean types of data. Annual GDP, quarterly GDP. Right? Let's say we compute GDP for the whole year. Right? So remember, the keyword is domestic product. It has that when they are produced. Let's say you have we have protons, for example, and protons can produce a number of cars, certain number of cars, certain units of cars in December, right? But the cars are sold in January next year, right? They produce in December at the end of year. Let's say they produce in December this year. Right? Last week they produced a few units, but the car will be sold next year. Right? So the keyword is product here, okay? Production, when they are produced. If they are produced this year, December this year, but sold next year, it has to be included for GDP this year, right? 2022. You cannot include it in next year GDP, because the keyword here is right, produce. Right, in the given time period, produced within the countries during given time periods. Right, when they are produced, the keyword says when they are produced. If they are produced in 2022, then it has to be included in 2022. Are you clear with GDP now? How they compute it? But to compute this is not straightforward because it is not easy actually. I think Department of Statistics, the units that compile this, they're not going to check one by one, but they have model to estimate this, right? Based on certain numbers, they are going to estimate this because if you want to compile this, right, I don't think you can do it within 3 months, right? It's gonna be tough because we have millions of outputs to produce within the nations, within nation. Right? So right, so are you okay with GDP? Right, so GDP is the best, is the most popular measures. Right, so now hopefully you have some ideas, right, what GDP is and how they compute it. Okay? It is based on market value. Not only final goods and services are included, it has to be produced within the country and during a certain period of time. So these are the most important elements of GDP. There are others like gross, why gross, why not net, for example. We are going to explain this after this. Right? So it has to be right. So GDP is basically the value of domestic outputs, right? Domestic products. That output skill which is produced locally. Let's say you spend 30,000 to buy a used car, for example. Okay? This year you spend 30,000 to buy used car. Will that be included in current year GDP?
No.
Right? The answer is no, okay, because the car was produced earlier. Right? Used car was, let's say, was produced in 1995. So the value of car was included in 1995. So that will not be counted as a current GDP for current GDP. Right? So that is GDP. Right. So these are the explanations: market value, final goods produced within the country, right, and given period of times. Right. So let us start. This this is I would say, a simple model that economists normally use to describe the macro interactions in the economy. Right? The interactions between various units in the economy at macro level, right? At national level. Macro, I means, national level. Right? So these models is known as a circular flow models, income expenditure model. Right, so this is the basic units that we have in the economy. Okay? I'm not going to go one by one because the slides they they go one by one. That's going to take time. Right, so let us start with this. In the economy, there are three actually, big groups or agents or units that is responsible for economic activities. The first group is household. We are part of household. Right? So we are household. Household, by definition, is a group of people who are living together. Let's say, you stay with your parents, right? So you have your brothers, sisters, right? Younger sisters, younger brothers, your parents, for example, you all together represents one household, right? If your grandparents also stay with you, right, they are part of one household. Household is a people living together. Right? So we do a lot of things as a household. We work for others. We get incomes and then we spend. Right? We spend incomes for a lot of things. Second group is firms. Firms is a group of agents or units the economies that buy resources that buy inputs from household, right, and then produce goods and services, right. So firms, the main activities for firms is to buy inputs and produce outputs in the economy, right. So sometimes you are part of firms, right. So let's say in my case, so I work for UPM. So UPM is part of firms because UPM they produce education services. Right? Your parents, okay, for example, okay, are working okay, for oil and gas companies, okay, for example. So, right, so they are also part of the firm, okay, of the unit okay, that is responsible okay, for production, okay, buying inputs and produce outputs. Right. And on top of that, we also have governments. So governments is also important, especially for developing countries. For all economy, actually, governments is important because some of the goods in the economy is not provided by the private sectors. That we need governments to help with the supply of some of the some of the goods in the market. Like in Malaysia, we have governments supplying education, for example. Right? Our primary school, our high school is almost free because they are funded by the governments. Hospitals, we have government hospital, which is almost free, right? Because they are funded by the governments. University is also funded, heavily funded by the governments. 90% of the actual cost of higher education is funded by the governments. So it depends. Okay? But the role of governments is depends on the countries. Okay? For some countries, the role of governments is huge. But they supply a lot of things. Okay? But for some countries, okay, the role of governments is less. But all countries can need governments, right? So on top of that, right, we also have interactions with the rest of the world because some of the things that we buy are important. Look at what you have with you, for example. Okay, your watch, your tabs, your smartphones are right, mostly are imported from China, right? So that there is interactions with the rest of the world, and some of the goods that we produce here are exported. They are not consumed by local household, but they are consumed by foreign household. We sell to the rest of the world, like palm oil. Right? We produce a lot of palm oil, right? And then we export to others. We produce a lot of chicken egg, for example, right? We export to others. Even though we don't have enough supply of chicken eggs in Malaysia, but we are major exporter actually of chicken egg. But there are some issues with the governments, the markets, for the reasons why we don't have enough supply of chicken eggs in Malaysia. Blame on Mak Sabu. Right. So basically, household they work right, and then they sell. Let's say they rent out the lands that they have. They work for firms, right? And then they're gonna get income, right? They're gonna get income from firms because firms buy inputs from right, buy inputs from there'll be flows of inputs from household to firm and flow of money from firms to household. Right? So they're gonna get income. Right? By working for the firms by renting out some of the lands that they have to firms. Right? Or by lending out money for firms to borrow and buy capital goods for example. Right? We put the money in bank. Actually you can expand these models by including banks because we're going to save some money in bank is going to lend out to firms for firms to buy capital goods, right? To buy machines, to buy new buildings, new plants, and etc. Right? So household gonna get money, right? Incomes, and household gonna spend that money. Consumption is spending by household on final goods and services. So we have income, and then we spend on a lot of things. On education, on medical, on on tourism, vacations, right? On housing, foods, drinks, everything. Right. So some of the money is going to flow back to firms. Right. So on top of that, there is also interactions between firms. Right. Firms, for example, they produce firm A produce computers, for example. and that computers are purchased by another firms, by banks, for example, because banks needs computers to produce banking services. So, so on top of that, there is interactions among firms. Firm produce capital goods and goods are sold to another firms, right? So there'll be flow of investments right here, which happens across firms. Right, so this is consumptions earlier, right? So governments, there is another links actually, but that links is not part of this because the governments can also spend, but in order to spend, governments is going to collect tax, for example, from household, right? From firms, profit that they make, they have to pay tax, right? Household, right? Earn income, and some of the portions will be paid to the government for tax, income tax. When you spend, for example, hang on, please. Right. So governments is going to collect some of the money in the form of tax. That is the main source of income for the governments. But on top of that, they also have other sources of income like dividends that they get from government-linked company. Right, and also like in Indonesia, Petronas, for example, is also giving a lot of money to the governments because Petronas belongs to the governments. Right, so that is government spending, right? Because governments can also buy a lot of things. It's just like because UPM is part of governments, right? We are public institutions, public higher learning institutions. We belong to the governments, so we spend a lot of money on a lot of things. We buy projectors, we buy computers, we build a new buildings, right? We buy new books for the libraries, for example. Those are part of government spending, right? And then we also have interactions, as I said, with the rest of the world. Some of the goods that we buy are imported. So we have imports here. But some of the goods which is produced by local firms, right, will be exported, right? So X is basically spending spending by foreigner on our goods, right? So X is important components of GDP because this is spending by foreigners on imported goods, on exported on our goods which is exported. Right, so we also have imports. Some of the goods that we spend on are imported. A lot actually, imported goods into Malaysia. Right, so we buy a lot of things from Shopee, for example, from China, right, from Indonesia. Right, so I spend a lot on this, buying directly from China, buying directly from Indonesia. And they are cheap, compared to the price in Asia. Right, so basically, without leakages, this is gonna be the flow. Whatever money that flows to household will come back to firms. In the form of investments, consumptions, government spending, export and imports. Right, and as I said, there are missing links. Here, right, we have, for example, banks. For example, because some of the incomes they receive, we're gonna put in bank, but bank eventually gonna pay, gonna lend out that money to firms to spend, right? For firms to buy capital goods, for example. We also have links between household and governments because we pay tax to the governments and firms can also pay tax to the governments. And then the governments can spend the money on goods. Right? So there are a few missing links here. Right? But basically, this is the the model that describes the basic interactions between agents, basic agents in the economy, including household, firms, governments, and the rest of the world. So these are the explanations. They go one by one. I'm not going to go one by one. Right. So export minus import here, because I'm going to explain later why we have these elements. But export minus import is known as net exports. Right? Export minus import is net exports, and net exports is one of the important this. Right, export minus import is net export, which is also key important components of GDP. All right. Right. So looking at the circular flow diagram, there are basically two ways to compute this. The first way is looking at the red arrow, which is spending in the economy, because the amount of money that goes to household is equal to the amount of spending that goes back to firms, right? In these models, without leakages, but of course in reality there are leakages. Some of the monies that go to a household will not get back, right? Will not get back to firms, right? Because there are leakages in the economy. But overall, right, the model is valid. Most of the money that go to household will come back to firms. Right? This is equal to this. Right? So there are two ways looking at this. There are two ways to compute GDP. Right. So this is the value of output produced in the economy. Right. The amount of money that you spend on final goods represents, right, the value of goods that the market value of goods that you spend on. Right. So the amount of money that the government spends, right, represents the market value of goods produced in the economy, which is purchased by the governments. And this is the market value of all goods purchased by the rest of the world, right? And also this is the market values of goods purchased by firms from other firms, right? So this diagrams basically, right, indicates the amount of market value or the market value of all goods produced within the country, within the nations. So there are two parts, as I said. So the first part, the blue ones is income that goes to household, will come back to firms, right? And in macroeconomics, they should be equal without leakages. They should be equal. Y is equal to all these things, right? The ones on the right hand side, the red arrow here, right? This is spending. This is income. So basically, to compute GDP, there are two ways. But the most popular ones is these ones, the red ones. This is the spending approach. Right? This is the income approach. Right? So there are two ways. We're gonna go one by one. Right? So for the expenditure approach, right, to GDP, we just total up all the spendings in the economy by all agents, right, including foreign sectors, because GDP is the market value of all goods produced in the economy. Right, this is spending by household on goods, right, on all goods actually here, not only goods produced within the country, right, but also on imported goods. Right, so this is total spending. This is total. This indicates total output purchased by the household. This is outputs produced in the economy, which is purchased by by the firm. This is output produced in the economy, purchased by the governments, and this is the output produced in the economy, purchased by foreigners, by other countries. Right. So at the end, we have to remove imports because some of the spending here are on imported goods. Right? Look at what you spend on. You spend on, let's say, your smartphones. Most probably, they are produced in China. Right? The tabs, computers, right, that you buy, most probably they are produced in China. The shirts probably produced in Vietnam, for example. So they are imported goods. They are not produced here in Malaysia. So this is the reason why at the end of the process we need to remove the value of all imported goods, right? Minus N. Right? So this is the reasons why we have to remove imports. Right, so we have to add exports because exports are goods produced locally but consumed by the foreigners because when we compute GDP, the focus is on goods produced locally. Right? It doesn't matter who consume the goods, who buy the goods. Right? As long as the goods is produced locally, they are part of our GDP. So they have to be included. Purchase of local goods by the foreigners are included in our GDP. But imports, we have to remove them from the equations because imports, imported goods are not produced locally. Right? GDP has to be goods that is produced locally. Right. So this is the first part. Okay. This is the reasons why I think we have explained earlier why domestic. Now we need to explain why gross. Right. So gross, because when it comes to computing investments, we include gross investments. We do not by conventions, we do not remove depreciation. Do you know depreciations? Capital goods like machines over the years they depreciate values. The values is getting less. You buy computers, probably after you spend 5,000 for computers, gaming computers, for example. After 5 years, probably the values will go down to 1,000 only. Right? So computers depreciate values. Machines, you buy machines, firms can spend lots on machines, and machines can depreciate values over years. Right? So when we compute GDP, we just take the amount of gross investments. Gross investments means we do not remove the value that depreciates, right, over times. Right? So gross investments, if you minus depreciations, you're gonna get net. Right? So the difference between gross and net is depreciations. Let's say you buy at the beginning of year, you buy 1,000. At the end of year, the value of machines drops to 500 ringgit. So depreciation is 500. But you did not when you compute this, just include the money that you spend initially, which is 1,000, right? You don't put 5,000. You don't remove depreciations from the calculations. So you just put the initial spendings that you made, which is gross investments. So this is the reasons why it is known as gross domestic product. Because the investments that we include in this case are gross investments. We do not remove depreciations. And also, when it comes to income approach, right? Income approach, we use where is the explanations? Gross investments, right? So when it comes to income approach, we use gross profits, right? So when we compute the GDP using income approach, we include the profit earned by the corporation, for example. So because this is part of income, the companies they're making a lot of money, right? The profits that they make will be included in GDP, right? In income approach, right? So when we are doing that, we include gross profits instead of net profits, right? So in the computation of GDP using income approach, we use gross profits instead of net profit. So this is the reasons why the terms, the whole terms becomes gross, right? Gross domestic products. So domestic, I think you know what's domestic. They are produced locally. Product means right, when they are produced, right? The keyword is production, is not sale. Right? It's not when they are sold, but when they are produced. Right, so this is example for US for 2012. Right, so GDP, look at US GDP, right? 11 what? 11,000 billion, 11 trillion, right? For consumptions, and then 2 trillions for governments. This is what? This is investments. 3 trillion for government spending, and export minus import is negative. Negative means imports is greater than exports. If the numbers is positive, so it means that exports is greater than imports. So US is exporting more than what they export. They import a lot. They rely a lot on others. So the total is 15 millions. Sorry, it's not million, trillions, right? This is huge, okay, as compared to Malaysia. Malaysia, I think, in terms of dollars, it is around 400 billions, I think. 400 billions. But it's about this, 400 billions in terms of dollars, right? So US, they have 3 trillions, right? So China, okay, is also huge, okay? It's also trillions. I think slightly less than US, but I think okay, in the next few years, right, China, okay, gonna beat US and becomes, the biggest economy in the world, right? Because China is growing faster. Right, so this is the expenditure approach to compute GDP. You just total up all the spending in the economy, then you can get GDP. Because this represents the market value of all goods produced in the economy and also imported, right? Spent or purchased by the household. Right? This is market value purchased, market value of all goods purchased by firms, right? This is basically capital goods. This is, the market value of all goods purchased by the governments, and this is the adjustments that we make for export and imports. Right, so at the end, we have this 15 trillion that represents the market value of all goods produced within the United States. Right, in US, they produce this amount of goods per year, right? This is annual data. Right, so this is the breakdowns coming in terms of percentage. So you can see that the biggest components for most countries, the biggest components is going to be the consumption or spending by the household. Our spending contributes a lot to the economy, right? Firms less, governments is also less, but in the case of US, you can see, right, gross private domestic investments, this is a spending by firms on capital goods. Right, so in terms of percentage, they are less than spending by the governments. Right, in Asia, we also have similar patterns, except that we have positive value here. Exports is more than imports. For the case of Asia, but also this is the biggest component for Malaysia. This is also less. But I'm not sure which one is lesser between these two, whether investments or government spending. Okay, but both are less, okay, than spending, okay, by the household. Right. So this is the breakdown, okay, of spending, okay, for the America. Right. So second approach is income approach. So what we need to do, okay, for the income approach, okay, we need to total up everything, okay, all incomes, okay, received, okay, in the economy. Right. There are two parts. Okay, there are two parts here. Right. First is compensations, okay, of employees. Okay, this is what, okay, the employee gets. Okay, those who work, okay, for others, okay, this is what, okay, they get. Okay, and this is the biggest components. Right. This is the biggest components. Right. 53%. Okay, are income, okay, received, okay, by the workers. Okay, like me. Okay, I'm working for UPM. Right. So my income, okay, is part of this. Right. So net interest, this is interest income that we get, minus interest payments that we make. Sometimes we put some money in bank, we're going to get interest income, right? And then we buy cars, for example, or we buy a house, for example, and then we have to pay bank loans plus interest. So that is interest expenses, interest that we need to pay. So net interest is interest that we receive, right, minus the interest that we pay, right? That is net interest income. And rental income, okay, we have anything to rent out, okay, this, right, will be part of the income, okay, but the amount is very small, okay, the smallest components. Corporate profits, this is the profit, the gross profits, okay, that I mentioned earlier, okay, this is the profits, okay, earned, okay, by the corporation, okay, all those companies, okay, out there. So, and we bank, right, Maybank, oil and gas companies, okay, they are part of this, okay, corporate profits. Proprietary incomes, okay, this is for, incomes, okay, for self-employed people, okay, entrepreneurs. They run, okay, a small business, okay, they sell, for example, goreng pisang, banana, fried banana, right? Those who are, self-employed, okay, those who sell durians, okay, for example, okay, along the roads, okay, for example, there are many. Durian is cheap now. It's very cheap. I just bought yesterday. Last weekend, okay, I bought Musang King, and it was only 23 ringgit, okay, per kilo. It used to be around 40 ringgit, okay, Musang King. But now it's 23. Okay, grade A you can get around 30 ringgit. Okay, in the past it was 50. But I don't know the reasons, okay, why the price, okay, has gone down. Okay, but probably, okay, because of oversupply, okay, of durians in the markets. Kampung durians, okay, just like, before, okay, 10 ringgit. Sometimes, okay, you can get, okay, for 8 ringgit. Right, if you go to small kampung, okay, out there, right, in mountains, okay, or in, some other parts, okay, Dengkel, probably, okay, the price, okay, is a lot cheaper. Right, so buy durians. Cik Zah, mana Cik Zah?
Ya, saya doktor.
Oh, ada, ingat tak ada.
Ada.
Okey, Cik Zah.
Okey doktor. Bila doktor?
Apa exam? Tunggu kawan you balik umrah tu.
Okey, 3 Januari nanti ada tu.
Nanti bagi tahu saya.
Okey doktor.
Saya okey je bila-bila nak buat. Bukan saya yang jawab, you yang jawab kan.
Oh.
Aiman mana Aiman? Ada Aiman?
Ada.
Ha?
Ada sini doktor.
Kat mana? Seri Putra ke dekat UPM?
Kat rumah.
Tu lah. Saya pun kat rumah kat ni.
Dekat.
Tu lah, sebelah-sebelah ya, belakang tu je. Alright, let us continue. Right, so this is proprietary incomes, okay, self-employed, and then, okay, you just total up, okay, everything, okay. Then you total up, wages, okay, to employees, okay, net interest income, rental income, corporate profits, proprietary incomes. Then you're gonna get, okay, net domestic incomes, okay, at factor costs. This is factor price, okay. So because the price that the incomes that they receive differ from the market values because when it comes to market value there'll be some adjustments because the market value normally will reflect tax and subsidies given by the government because in some industries governments are paying subsidies that change the market price that you need to pay. But chicken eggs, for example, are subsidized. I think subsidized, I think. Or they set the ceiling and then the government is paying subsidies to the the egg producers. Chickens, for example, during the festive seasons, they set the ceiling and then the government is paying the the subsidies to firms. Right. So and also tax also change the market price because we have sale tax here in Malaysia. The price that you pay in the market includes tax, sales tax, right? That we need to pay to the governments. So because of that, we need to make some adjustments. We need to add indirect tax like sales tax that we pay right to firms, which eventually firms gonna pay to the government less subsidies, right? Then with this adjustment, we gonna get net domestic income at market price. We transform this from factor cost, right? From cost, right, to market price. Then we can get this 13 again trillions. And then because this is net, right, GDP is expressed in terms of gross, right? So we need to add, we need to estimate this first. This is through estimations, right? So we need to estimate the amount of depreciation during the years, right? And according to this number, it is around almost 2 trillion for US for the year 2012. So with that adjustments, right, we're gonna get GDP, gross domestic product, or gross domestic income actually, but income is similar, right, or is equal to products when it comes to macroeconomic frameworks, right? Because according to circular flow diagrams, you still remember, right? These diagrams, income is always equal to spending in the economy, or equal to spending is spending on output. So this is spending which is also equal to the value of outputs produced in the economy. So gross domestic income is going to be the same as gross domestic products. Right, so at the end, you're going to have GDP, gross domestic product, but this is income approach. But whenever we compute GDP using two different approaches, we're gonna get two different numbers. They are close, but they won't be the same. They won't be the same because income data for income is taken from different sources. Data for spending is taken from different sources. So there is a strong possibility that they will not be the same. Right, so this is normal. In any accounts, we're going to have these adjustments. Statistical discrepancy. Right, all accounts. Not only for United States, for Malaysia, for all other countries, for China. Right, for all countries, they're going to have these statistical adjustments, or statistical discrepancy. So the purpose of this is to make sure that the numbers that we get from income approach will be the same as the number that we get through expenditure approach. Right? This is statistical adjustments to make sure that that they are right, the numbers are equal. Right? So without this, we're not gonna get the same numbers. Look at this. Right? So this number. This is income approach. Sorry, this is expenditure approach. Right? This is income approach. Right, initially we don't get the same numbers, right? But we made some adjustments. All accounts they have this, but they call this, balancing items. Okay? The purpose of this is to make sure that they are balanced. They are equal. Right. So this is the ways on how to compute. Right. So you need to remember this important components of income. Right. This is wages to employees. Right. This is interest income, rental income, corporate profits, property incomes. Right. The rest are adjustments. The rest are adjustments that we need to make. Right. In order to get GDP. Right. Using income approach. And the last adjustments is statistical adjustments to make sure that the numbers through income approach are equal to the numbers that we get from expenditure approach. Right. So now, how do we compute market value? Market value is very simple. Right. Market value is equal to this. This is market value. Okay. Market value is equal to P multiplied by Q. Sorry, this is not. But P multiplied by Q. So this is the market value of goods produced in the economy. So let's say in the economy there is only one goods produced by the economy. Right, they produce smartphones, right, and they produce 10 units of smartphones, and the price for each of the smartphones is 1,000. So 1,000, right, multiplied by the price is 1,000, right, multiplied by 10 units. Then the market value is going to be 10,000. Right? This is by assuming that there is only one goods. This is how they compute the market value. Right? Take the P and then get the Q and then multiply them, then you're going to get the market value. And you can generalize this for economy with, right, a lot of goods. Right, thousands of goods in the economy. You can repeat this. You can compute the market value for smartphone, market values for what? For tax, for shirts, for shoes, for all. Then you total up. Then you're gonna get GDP. Right. So this is how they compute. So there are two important elements here. Okay. First is price. Second is quantity of goods that we produce. Right. The problems with this, right? The problem with this is sometimes we have these situations in which, right, the price increases. Let's say for next year, the price is 2,000, but the quantity of goods that we produce remains the same. Right? So what is going to happen to GDP? GDP is going to be 20,000. Right, so 20,000 GDP, okay, if you compare the number, okay, you just focus on the number, okay, you can see that the numbers has increased by double, right? So from 10,000 to 20,000. Right, so you'll be thinking that when the numbers is bigger, right, then most likely you're gonna say that economy is doing okay, because the GDP is improving, right? But the problem here is if you look at here, the actual output produced in the economy doesn't change, right? We have bigger numbers for GDP just because of increase in price. But the actual economic activities, right, the amount of inputs that we buy, the amount of labor that we employ in the economy, the amount of investments that we make in the economy doesn't change, because the quantity of outputs that we produce doesn't change, right? So if we look at this, the market value without any adjustments, then the numbers is going to be misleading. right? You're gonna think that, okay, because the numbers is 20,000, so you're gonna say that, okay, the economy is improving. But in fact, okay, the actual economic activities doesn't change, right? The quantity doesn't change. So if the quantity of outputs that we produce doesn't change, the quantity of inputs that we use also doesn't change, including labors, right? The amount of workers that we employ doesn't change. So new graduates want to get a job, probably not gonna get a job, which is bad for the economy, because firms does not employ more workers. They just employ the same quantity of workers. Right. So this is the reason why we need to differentiate between this nominal GDP and real GDP. Right. So what you have seen here is nominal. Nominal is GDP which is computed by using current price. We compute. This is, let's say, for 2020, year 2020, right? And this is for, let's say, year 2021. Right? So nominal is the value of GDP that you compute using current price. We compute for 2021, and then let's say the price in 2021 is 2,000, and then you use 2,000. Right? 2020, the price was 1,000, and then you use 1,000. You use whatever current price that you have. That is nominal. Right, but on top of that, economists in most cases they are going to transform GDP into real GDP. Right, real GDP. What they do is they fix the price because they just want to see the changes in real economic activities by looking at the changes in Q. So they fix the price. When they fix the price, right? When they fix the price, so any changes that we're gonna get from here is purely because of changes in Q, because P doesn't change, right? They suppress the P, they fix the P, right? When they compare GDP across times, they make sure that the P that they use doesn't change. They fix the P, right? They allow only Q to change. That is real GDP, because the numbers that you're gonna get at the end will reflect the actual or real economic activities. I mean, in terms of output produced in the economy. Right. So this is example on how we compute real GDP. Right. So let's say we have this. We have these three items in the GDP. We have T-shirts. We have computer chips. For investments. Security services. For government spending. Right. Defense. Spendings. And the quantities in terms of millions T-shirts for spending by consumers is 10 million, 3 million, and 1 million, and the price is 5, 10, 20. Okay, this is for the years 2005. And then if you compute the market values for T-shirts is gonna be 5 ringgit multiplied by the quantity, you're gonna get 50 millions, right? 30 millions for computer chips and 20 millions for security services, and then you total up to get GDP, which is equal to 100 millions, right, for 2005. And then you repeat the same thing for 2012 with the price that you have in 2012. Right, this is quantity, sorry, this is the price. You can see that the price of T-shirts doesn't change, but the price of computer chips and also security services is double, right, from 10 to 20, from 20 to 40. And then you compute the market value, then you're going to get 300s, right? So now these 300s comes from changes in two things. First is price, second is this. But there is no much variations in quantity, but there is a big changes in P. In fact, for the case of T-shirts, the quantity has gone down. T-shirts and also computer chips, right? The quantity produced in the economy has gone down from 10 to 4, from 3, right, to 2. It's just that security services has gone up, okay, from 1 to 6, right? So then you're going to get this. Now, okay, we want to compute real GDP. Okay, as I said earlier, right? What we do, okay, when it comes to real GDP, okay, we fix the price. Let's say, okay, we take the price, okay. We want to compare, okay, with this, right? We want to compare with 2005, and then, okay, we gonna fix the price, okay, by computing GDP, okay, for 2012 using the price, okay, in 2005, okay, because we want to see only variations, okay, in Q. So we fix the price. So using quantity, okay, that we have right in 2012, right, 2012, and using price in 2005, right? And this is the market value, right? You can see that the market value of t-shirts has gone down from 50 million to 20, right? Computer chips also going down from 30 to 20. Only security services has gone up, right? So in total, okay, you get this. So now, okay, you can see, right, real economic activities, okay, or quantity has actually, okay, increases, okay, only by 60%. It's not 200%, okay, because here 200% okay, is because of, right, mainly, okay, because of changes in price. Right, price has doubled, okay, for computer chips, okay, and security services. Right? So now, okay, we can see that this is more realistic, right? So earlier, okay, in 2005, okay, the outputs, okay, the market value, okay, of all outputs okay, is 100 millions. Now, okay, the outputs okay, is 160 millions, right? So outputs okay, or real economic activities, okay, or quantity, right, has increased okay, by 60%. Right. So this is what it means by real GDP. Okay, we fix the price because we want to see the changes in real economic activities, which is the quantity of goods produced in the economy. But still, we need to multiply by price because GDP is expressed. Right? We can look at this. Right, but GDP is expressed in terms of market value. Okay, we still need to multiply by price. So one way is to fix the price, right? But we need some reference here, or base here. This is a base here. This is a reference here. So we gotta use the price in reference here, right? Which is this one. Right. So what we can do is we GDP. Okay, the first is we can do this for uh, measuring the standard of living, okay, either across years, right, or across countries. Okay, we can compare, for example, okay, we can compare the value of nation GDP across years. Right, we can take the value of our GDP in 60 and then compare to GDP that we have now. And normally, when we compare the standard of living, we gotta use GDP per capita. GDP per capita means GDP per person. Okay, we take the GDP for the whole nation first, and then we divide by the number of population. Then we gonna get GDP per capita. Right? This is the best measure, essentially, to measure the standard of living, because GDP per capita indicates the average income of the people during the year. For example, at the moment, our GDP per capita for Malaysia is around 11,000 US dollar per year per person. Of course, you're gonna have few people with a lot of money. They earn millions per year, but there are a lot of poor people. Right? When you take the average, we get around we get around $11,000 per year per person for Malaysia. Right, so you can compare this over time. You can see that whether GDP per capita is improving or not. That is, it is improving, so it means that our standard of living is improving, because with more income, we can afford more things, buy more things, right? So, but if you compare between nations in South Korea, in 60, right, in 1960s, our GDP per capita was higher than GDP per capita for South Korea. But now look at, nations, we are lagging behind, right? So GDP per capita for South Korea is a lot higher as compared to Malaysia. Right? Something has gone wrong for the past, 50 to 60 years, 70 years. So South Korea is improving. We also improve, but the rate of improving is a lot slower, as compared to South Korea. Right? We need to check. We need to look at, what has gone wrong in the past 70 years. Right, so you can compare the standard of living over time. You can compare the standard of living across countries. As I said, our GDP per capita is lower as compared to Singapore. Singapore is a lot higher, but our GDP per capita is higher as compared to Thailand, the Southeast Asian countries. Right, we are number 2. We are number 3 actually. We have Brunei, but Brunei is a completely different systems because they are controlled by the king. But they don't have the systems like us. Everything is controlled by the king. Monarch system. But the rest are, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam. Right? We are higher than that, but we are less than Singapore. Right? Singapore is growing faster. So there are thousands of excuses if you want to, if they ask you why we are growing slower, as compared to Singapore. We can guess, we can provide excuse, but that is not the best solutions, right? But the governments, they need to look at what has happened in the past and try to fix this. Why Singapore? Because Singapore was part of Malaysia. It was split in 1963. They were part of Malaysia. But now they are growing faster. It becomes one of the richest in the world. And South Korea was lower than us, but now South Korea is a lot better compared to. Right? They have K-pops, but we don't have M-pop, Malaysia pop. Right? We need to think along these lines. K-pop is innovations actually. How they produce music, movies, and they are able to sell it to the rest of the world. Right? They are able to make a lot of money through this creative industries, songs, music, movies. These are new sectors that we need to look at. Right? There are plenty of opportunity or rooms for us to tap and grow in these industries. If India can do it, if South Korea can do it, even Thailand can sell, right, their movies approach horror movie, especially from Thailand, right? Hantu Thailand lebih realistik daripada hantu Malaysia. Alright, so this is what I say, real GDP per person, which is total GDP divided by populations. Right, so what else? What time is now? 27. Right, so this is the things. Another thing is about potential GDP. Potential GDP is right. This is the level of output. If right, if all the inputs are fully utilized, fully employed in the economy, then the outputs that we are able to produce is known as a potential GDP. Right, this is based on model predictions. Okay, this is not the actual one. This is the outputs predicted by the model. Okay, by taking into account when all inputs are fully employed in the economy. Right? It is known as a potential GDP. So if you plot, okay, you're gonna get something like this. This is the actual one. So the actual can be more or less than, right? Potential GDP I would say as the ideal level of outputs, right? The ideal, the best, the optimum, the level of outputs that can be sustained in the long run. But this is predicted by the models. If you plot, then you're gonna get something like this. And also, okay, this is some of the issues that we encountered in the past, because if you look at the data that we have, not only for Malaysia, but also for other countries, the productivity, right, productivity of workers has been slowing down, it's getting less and less. But our productivity in 70s, in 60s was a lot higher as compared to now. Right. So we don't have the clear reasons why productivity has gone down. But there is one concept that uh, is worth discussing. Right. This is Lucas wish. Lucas wish is the let me explain by using this graph. Right, so this is the actual output per person that we have, okay, or GDP per capita that we have. Okay, you can see that the GDP per person is increasing, but it is increasing at declining rates. Right, the slope, the slope here is higher as compared to the slope here. Right, it is increasing, but increasing at the declining rates. Right. So Lucas Wish is a concept that describe output loss because productivity is declining. Because our GDP per capita is growing, right, at declining rates. Right. So Lucas Wish is something like this. If you take the growth rates that we had in 70s or in 60s and try to project GDP per capita by using the growth rate that we had in 60, this is going to be the lines. This should be the GDP per capita if we are able to maintain the productivity that we had in 60. But productivity is declining, right? So this is the projected GDP using productivities that we had in 60. So GDP per capita should be higher if we are able to maintain the productivity. But the problem is productivity is declining. Right. So the gaps between the projected GDP per capita and actual GDP per capita, this area is known as Lucas wish. Right. So Lucas wish predict that the loss of output per person is 460,000. I think this is based on US data, right? Because productivity declining, right? The loss of output because of lower productivities is estimated to be around this number, 460,000, right? And this is known as a Lucas wish, because it was proposed by Lucas. Right, so these are some of the things, concepts that you need to know, right, when it comes to GDP. If you plot GDP, then you're going to see this kind of patterns. Right, GDP is increasing during certain period of time, and then declining during certain period of time, and again increasing during other period of times. Right, when GDP is expanding, right, this is known as economic expansions. Right, the economy is expanding. Economy is getting bigger. The outputs produced in the economy is getting more and more and more. But this won't last forever, okay, because of shock in the economy. I think because of COVID pandemic. COVID pandemic, many economies they were in trouble, including Malaysia and some of the economy. I think most of the economy they have recessions. Recessions happens when GDP is declining for 6 months, right? 6 months when output of GDP right declines for 6 months, then it is known as economic recessions. If up because GDP is computed for every 3 months, right? When you have two consecutive 3 months, which is basically 6 months, right? When GDP is declining, that is known as in economics, that is known as recessions. Right? It requires 6 months reductions in output. If output reduce only by 3 months, only by 1 quarter, that is not recessions. Although we have reductions in outputs. Right? So this is technical definitions of economic recessions. It has to be reductions in outputs for 6 months, right? To be considered as a recessions. So this is a big point scheme, which is the highest point scheme before recessions, and this is trough. Trough means the lowest point scheme during recession scheme before economy rebounds. Right? So these are the terms: recessions, expansions, peak, which is the highest point scheme before recessions, and trough. Trough is the lowest point scheme during recessions. The lowest points for GDP during recessions. Right. So the problems when it comes to comparing GDP across countries, because normally GDP are reported using local currencies. Nation GDP is reported using ringgit. US GDP is computed using US dollar. China GDP is computed using renminbi. Right, so you cannot compare this because they are expressed in terms of different currencies. One way to compare, if you want to compare across countries, you can convert them into common currencies. Normally, we are going to compare. Normally, we are going to convert all GDPs into US dollar because US dollar is the key currency. But there is another problem. You just compare the whatever GDP that you have using current exchange rates. So that be problems because that will not reflect the standard of living across countries because some of the goods are cheap in Malaysia. Many actually are cheaper as compared to United States. Although we have lower incomes as compared to United States. But many goods are cheaper here as compared to the United States. Right? So if you just convert the ringgit, the GDP in terms of ringgit to dollars, without making adjustments for prices across US and Malaysia, that gonna give difference or gonna give inaccurate signals about the standard of living. If you compare, but if you compare the standard of living by using GDP, which is converted into dollars, because a lot of things are cheaper here. Haircuts is 10 ringgit here. If you go to US, haircuts gonna cost you $10. Right? Although our income is less, many things are cheaper. Right. So what you need to do, if you want to compare the standard of living across countries, you need not only convert the local GDP to some common currencies, but you also need to make adjustments for differences in price levels across different locations. Right. But there are solutions for this. Which is known as where is the term? Right. Right, so this is the terms that we use. GDP, valued at purchasing power parity. So this is GDP, right, which is converted into common currencies after adjustments for different prices across countries. Right? Look at this, the impact of this. We know that GDP per capita in China is lower as compared to US. If you just convert, what is this, domestic prices at market exchange rates? Right, look at this number, okay? If you just convert the China GDP into dollars and compare them, then you're gonna see that US GDP is 8.4 times higher than GDP per capita in China. Then you're gonna say that, right, there is a big gap between US and China in terms of standard of living. Right. So this is the case. If you just take the market exchange rate, right? Let's say the rate is 4.4 now, and then you just take whatever GDP in China, and then you just convert into dollars. This is what you're gonna get. You're gonna see that, right? The gap is huge. Right, Americans is more, is richer. They are more superiors. In terms of standard of living, and the gap is 8.4. But if you make adjustments on prices, even though the income per capita in China is lower as compared to US, but a lot of things in China there are a lot cheaper as compared to the price in US. So if you make these adjustments, then you're gonna see that, right, the gap is only 5.6. Right, it's not as big as the gap that you're gonna get by using, right, market exchange rates. Right, so this is the gap that we get once the adjustments is made for prices across China and US. Right, so we need to make this kind of adjustments if you want to compare the standard of living across countries. Right, you need to make adjustments not only in terms of common currency, but also you need to make adjustments for to take into account differences in price across different locations. But this data is provided by World Bank. You can check here. World Bank, World Development Indicators, the names of database that compile the data on this. Not only this, they also have many data for many different countries. World Bank, right? And one of them is this GDP value using purchasing power parity. Right. So last one, the limitations. GDP is not the best indicators actually, for measuring standard of living because there are weaknesses, there are omissions, there are certain things which is not taken into account in GDP, like household productions. Right. Some countries when there are countries in which they prefer the women to stay at home. But they don't work. Even in UK, there are many of them. If they get married, they won't work. They just stay at home, become housewife. Right. So in that case, right, GDP is going to be lower. Right, because GDP does not take into account the activities that doesn't has market value, like household activities, household productions. And also underground economic activities. Some underground economic activities are illegal, some are legal, but some they hide this because they want to avoid paying tax. Right? They underreport the activities, for example. Right? So GDP is not able to address these problems. Right? Leisure time is also omitted because uh, because leisure time skill that we have, okay, is also important elements, okay, of standard of living. Okay, if you have a lot of money but you don't have time skill for leisure, there'll be no points, right? But GDP, okay, only measures, okay, the amount of money, okay, that you have. It doesn't measure, okay, the leisure time, okay, that you have, which is also important, okay, for measuring, okay, standard of living, right? So GDP fail, okay, to address this, right? The quantity of or the quality of leisure time skill that you have. And also, okay, environmental quality skill, which is also important skill for the standard of living. But GDP is not able to address this, right? Because GDP is just just focus okay, on the monetary values, okay, on the market value, okay, on the income skill that you have. It doesn't measure okay, the quality okay, of the environment. But the quality okay, of the environment skill is also important skill. You have a lot of money, right? But the environmental quality is bad. You get sick, you spend most of the time in hospital. Okay? There is no point. Okay? Even if you have billions okay, of dollars okay, in your bank accounts, but you won't be able to enjoy it. You spend most of the time in hospital. Right? So again, GDP is not able to address this. But we still keep using, right? But we still keep on using GDP as a measure for standard of living because we do not have alternative. We do not have better alternative. At the moment, the best that we have is GDP per capita as measures for standard of living. Like it or not, we need to rely on it because we don't have other indicators to measure standard of living. Right, so the rest is optional. If you want to read, you can read, but this is not part of the syllabus. This is some of the issues when it comes to computing certain items in GDP. This is not part of syllabus, okay? But this is for something like this. The problems with GDP is over time because many goods actually the quality of goods, right, is better over time. So you pay more actually for better qualities. You don't pay more because of inflations. Right. So the standard formula for GDP, they are not able to address this. They just assume that right, increase in price is inflations. Right. Even if the increase in price is required because of higher quality, they won't be able to address this. So this is a new measure, new approach, change dollar real GDP, in which they make adjustments, right? They differentiate, right? Increase in price either because of inflation or increase in price is because of improvements in quality of goods. Because smartphones, for example, the price of Apple phones, for example, that iPhone, that the price keep on increasing, but higher price is required for better quality. Right? They improve the quality of phones. So you pay higher for better quality. But the standard formula GDP, they are not able to address this. But this is not part of your syllabus. You don't have to read but right, if you want to read, it is good for you to get new knowledge. All right, that's it. I'm tired. I want to sleep.
Alright, Doctor. Thank you.
Wah, thank you. Lari ya tu. Siapa ni? Sofia Has ni siapa dia?
Hi, Doctor.
Yang mana satu tu tahu? Nanti saya tanya dalam kelas. All right, so you can leave. Okay, so bye bye. So I'll see you next week.
Okay, thank you,
Doktor.
Doctor.
Doktor.
Thank you, doktor.
Thank you, doctor.